Yes, I'm fine.
Good evening. Welcome to the Committee on Finance. I'm Councilwoman Joanne Ryan. This is our regular meeting, Thursday, July 14, 2022. Madam Clerk, would you kindly read the roll?
Chairwoman Ryan.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Castillo.
Present.
Councilman Narducci.
Here.
Councilman Anthony.
Here.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Here.
We have 5 present. We have a quorum.
Okay, wonderful. Let the record reflect that we have Councilman, I saw him a minute ago. Oh, there he is. No, he's sit way back down.
I think.
You like that seat? Okay, okay, so we have Oscar August, Councilman Oscar August with us. We don't have any other council people. And we are represented, we do not have our auditor here tonight. We have James Lombardi representing from our finance team. Okay, let's get everyone who is going to present on the topics before us sworn in at one time. Let's do it that way. So if you could kindly stand if you will be presenting, and the clerk will lead you in swearing you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear in the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Thomas Mancini, Chief Financial Officer, City of Providence. David Dubois, Deputy General Manager, Providence. William Davis, Providence, Private. Stephen Barry, Commissioner of Public Safety, Providence. Louis San Lucas, Captain, Providence. Jim Solaria, Chief Information Officer.
Wonderful. Thank you all. I think that's it. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please read item 1 into the record?
An ordinance relating to Article 4, Chapter 17, Section 17-192 F of the Code of Ordinances, Disability Waiver Request, Teresa Wishart.
Okay. Is Teresa Wishart present? Teresa Wishart present? Okey-dokey. I'll ask one more time. Is Teresa Wishart present? For the sake of Robert's rules. She is not. May I entertain a motion to continue? Item 1. Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Council Majority Leader Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Item 1 is continued. Madam Clerk, kindly read item 2 into the record.
Resolution authorizing approval of the following ratification of contracts awarded by the Board of Contract and Supply in accordance with Section 21-26A of the Code of Ordinances.
Okay, this matter, it's the original contract, and our charge today or tonight is to continue this matter indefinitely. So may I have a motion to do that? Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Item 2 is continued indefinitely. Madam Clerk, please read item 3.
Resolution authorizing approval of the following contract award by the Board of Contract and Supply in accordance with Section 21-26B1 of the Code of Ordinances.
Who will be presenting on this item 3?
I will be presenting.
Okay. Commissioner Perry, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so this I understand is the new conduit contract. So please take us through it.
So conduit, let me back up. Conduit has been providing services for the city of Providence for our parking enforcement and environmental ticketing. So all our POs and parking tickets that have been managing that process, that contract, that expired at the end of May. We went out and in December began the process for an RFP. We concluded that process, got 3 bids, formed the committee. The committee voted 7-1, I believe, awarding contract, which is a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options to Conduit based on the criteria, including low bid and their ability to deliver, and other matrix that the committee used. And that is what's before you this evening for the continuation of that service for parking and environmental ticketing.
So we don't have a contract in front of us.
We don't have a contract in front of you, this is the authorization to then negotiate and enter into a contract.
Okay. So your testimony is this was the low bidder.
It is,
Okay.
it is.
Were there any outstanding issues that needed to be resolved? I understand that's the case.
There were a couple outstanding issues that we had that as a committee we raised, and we intend on addressing them with Conduit to ensure that those services are provided.
Okay. Can we get those, Councilman Nantucci?
I may ask what were the issues.
We're gonna go there. Do you want to share with us what those issues are, or Treasurer Lombardi, you, I know that you have a list of them. What would be the most efficient way? Who would like to present?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll generally, I don't have the list in front of me, but we've had an issue with Conduit over the past contract years that the software that they provide for their system wasn't keeping up with the generations of software on our platform. And so that's caused some problems in the latter years of the contract. We intend on requiring them to provide and update their software so it's compatible with our network system, so it doesn't fall behind and become a problem. There were a couple other issues.
Is that a cost? Is that an added cost to upgrade their system to be compatible with ours?
It may be a cost, but the cost will be on their end.
Okay, and that'll be in the contract, correct?
Yes, so we're gonna write language in the contract, so that is not an issue when we automatically, because we have to upgrade our software, that like all other vendors, they automatically upgrade their software as well, so it can continue on the network. A couple other things, they were providing an FTE, a person for our PEOs to service our handhelds and other devices, specifically for Providence, and I'm sure for other vendors as well. That service was very efficient and beneficial to the city. That changed a year or so ago. They contracted that out, and that service has been lacking. And so we're going to talk to them about the service either returning to a full-time for that purpose. We need better customer service. Was one, was a second, and there are a couple other things that they, comparatively, they will be charging us for the stock or the paper stock, where the other bids were not, or at least one was not, so we're going to raise that with them. And treasurer, so I don't have to remember the next 2 or 3 issues, but there was similar.
Why don't we get, Mr. Lombardi? You want to go through your list? I think it's important for the body to hear what those issues are in totality.
Sure.
Thank
If you look at the packet, you go 2 of 5, page 2 of 5. That's in the second packet. So it's probably midway through the packet.
Let's get there. Hold on.
Yep. It's the actual starts off with evaluation and selection in this page, and it goes on to page
Page
2.
2 of 5
Yes.
of the evaluation.
So if you look at the middle of the page, and I'll wait a minute, but if you look at the middle of the page, it says there are outstanding issues for Conduit to resolve prior to entering into the contract with parking service. So I think my only question here is, if the commissioner is saying that there's no cost to the city for these to be implemented, then that answers the question that I would have. Because if you, for example, if one of them just say they're gonna charge us $500,000 for the handhelds, then maybe they're not the lowest bidder. But if there's no cost, then they are clearly the lowest bidder. So,
Yeah, so I am confident there'll be no cost for the upgrades that they're gonna be required because they need to do it. It provides efficiency. And the other issues, there's no intention of the city paying more for any of these services. I know the customer service piece, we just need better service and they need to provide it to us or we're gonna reconsider.
Yes, Councilman Narducci, please.
Two things. One, so they're going to show that they contracted out. You had a contract with them for a certain item and then they contracted it out to another company. How does that?
And also, so they had a full-time tech person that service was really good. So it was one of their employees. That employee, as I understand, was retired from their company. And so they contracted out that customer service piece.
I guess my only concern is I would feel more comfortable seeing the contract, all these provisions in it, and not just okaying this and that. It's provision, the loss of not being recognized.
I think it's a valid point. I asked the very question at the beginning, we don't have a contract to look at. And I think Councilman Narducci is essentially saying, these are important components, there could be costs involved, and we want to make sure that the contract reflects that these components are built into the contract that we would approve here. Councilman Anthony?
I'm just backing up a little. So the services that they provide, who is maintaining and the parking meters we have? Or
Okay,
does that,
before you go on that avenue, I'm sorry, I thought you were jumping on where we were on. That's a whole nother question.
Yeah.
You just
I'll hold it.
please answer. Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah, so I can't enter in even negotiations without getting authority or approval from this council. So I can't come with a contract until I have authority to, execute or negotiate contracts.
So if we were to say to you tonight that these things are important to this body
Sure.
and that in moving forward, we would like them to be reflected in the contract in such a way that it doesn't add costs.
That's fair, and that's what I put into.
Madam Chair,
That sounds fine.
maybe to Jimmy, we don't okay the contract until we see the contract. This gives them the authority to move forward.
my recommendation is, I don't know about a contract, but if we could, we have been requesting this information for a while to see that there was no cost or what, if it was resolved and we didn't get any responses. But in the meantime, if these could be resolved prior to the council voting on it, at least a communication, then you could pass it out of committee subject to that. But when it gets to the council floor, if not, send it back. And the only reason I'm saying that is because we're in recess in August. I'm sure everybody wants this contract signed at some point, assuming that it's a good contract. And so that would be my only statement. I assume the commissioner would like for us to give authority, just work with them. Let me just say this, I worked with the solicitor on this and they got right back to me, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But, I expect them to be very responsive to respond back to these, that's conduit in regards to these matters very quickly. I think they're enthusiastic about moving this contract forward.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardi. Councilman, are you satisfied with that? Thank you. Councilman Anthony, thank you for your patience, please.
no worries. Two questions. First, I'm going to start on the software issues. Do we have, I know Mr. Silveria is here tonight, or I just wanted to know if he's been working on these and updating to make sure that the software updates. I'd love to hear from him. In
Sure.
terms of what he thinks about
I
it.
did reach out to him and said, hey, if we have problems, and give me language that can resolve it. So I'll let Severi answer that, but I've been engaged with he and my IT person.
All right.
I didn't come prepared to speak on this tonight, but I can tell you going back over the past couple of years, a major issue that we've had with common software is over time, Microsoft has updated their operating systems on our network computers, and as they do that, they drop support for their older systems. So when we originally started using software, we were running on Windows 7. And that was fully supported at the time. Everybody in the city were all using it. And over time, Microsoft has moved along and moved. They dropped support from Windows 7. And we're currently using Windows 10. That's the current standard that's supported across the industry. It was not able to provide software that would run on Windows 10. So we've been running the older version of computers in that office to just continue these operations. So we can continue to work. And over the past year and longer, we've been supporting it. Lombardi's been helping with communication, trying to get them to come back to our office and get us a working version of their software that will work with today's standard Windows 10. We don't do anything special on our computers. These are regular out of the box Windows machines. They've been doing quite a deal of work to get their software to work on our machines. So part of Commissioner mentioned is in the requirements, it's going to be that the vendor, I don't remember verbatim, but the vendor needs to maintain their software with the industry standard Microsoft operating system. Yes, so they have to continue to conform to cities' information technology recommendations, meet our minimum operating standards, and continue to keep pace with upgrades. So as Microsoft goes to Windows 11 and 12 and so on, they'll continue to upgrade their software just to maintain pace with industry security standards.
Great, that's exactly what I wanted to hear, thank you.
That's what we're
And then the other question I have is just so I can understand, because I'm a downtown business user. The actual parking meters, who's maintaining those?
That doesn't fall under public safety, so.
Okay,
the
so
parking
Conduit
meters,
isn't doing
This
anything.
has nothing to do with parking.
So what are the handheld devices?
It's just electronic, where the PEOs are parking enforcement, write up a ticket electronically in a loop. All the handheld, it's a little handheld computer.
So they must communicate then with the unit, the parking meter, I would assume.
I don't think they communicate with the meter, but they certainly communicate with the network.
If someone could explain that to me, because I'm just gonna say our parking meter situation is pretty unmanageable. And right now there's tape over all the, where you put coins in. People are constantly frustrated. I'm constantly downtown trying to help people use the parking meter. I almost feel like I should receive some extra compensation for my services.
$3.
We'll write that in.
The captain can share some more accurate information.
The parking meters is connected to the Passport app.
Right.
And that, through the Passport app, the handhelds are connected to the Passport app. That gives them access to who has paid. So that's where you use the handhelds.
Okay,
So that's the connection right there.
okay. Otherwise, they're doing their credit cards or coins in
Right now,
the,
they're not using the credit cards because of different credit cards for 3Gs. So there's no use of credit cards right now. And that's something DPW, License Fire, controls the meters. And she's working on the system.
okay. So we have parking meters in town, all over the city, that have, now they're taped over on the, so you can't put coins in. People cannot use their credit cards, so they have to download the Passport app and use that. And that's why we're doing it.
Yes. Passport app is actually the one that is working, and the credit card use. A lot of the meters are not working.
We need better, I'm just gonna say, we need a lot better signage and a lot better on the actual, to let people know that, we are only accepting the Passport app. So I just, I think it's just really not very visitor friendly or user friendly.
Who manages, those are very good points that you bring up, and I thank you for doing that. Who manages the meters themselves? Is that,
DPW falls under
it's a
DPW.
DPW function?
Yes.
How long have we not been able to use a credit card in those machines? Because I think it would be realistic to assume that if you have a meter, you can put a coin in it, you can swipe a card, or you could use some app. That would be the appropriate customer service approach, if you will. So how long have we not been able, how long have people coming into the city be welcomed by a meter that doesn't accept a credit card?
Can I answer that? That the DPW is working on the meters themselves. You know, they have certain areas that there's no use for the credit card. And I've been contacted for several of the areas.
Okay, so what we need, the city council is asking tonight for a list of all the meters in the city of Providence. On how many of them are not fully functional, which to me would be able to accept a credit card, or point, or passport, or whatever the app is that you referenced before. We'd like a complete accounting of every single meter on if they have lost functionality, when they lost functionality, and what is being done to get them online again, but even more so, how many fines have they given out? Because people are frustrated and can't figure out how to, they want to pump their car, they're going into a meeting that starts at 1 o'clock. They got there a few minutes before, and now they have to download an app, if they even have the capacity to do that, or the coinage to be able to accommodate the cost of blocking. So I just want to question how many fines we've given out during the period that these meters have not been fully operational, because I think that we have a duty and an obligation to make sure that they're fully functioning. So, Mr. Lombardi, can you follow up with the council office to make sure we get that information to my council colleagues? And thank you, Councilman Anthony, for bringing that up. Councilman, I wish you have.
Yeah, I guess
concerns as
that
well?
would be one of my biggest concerns, Pat. If you can answer or not. What if somebody does not have access to the app? What do they do? Where do they park? Where do they go?
You get a parking ticket.
So I've had several situations where people have not, they indicate they used the credit card or try to use the credit card, it wasn't working. So when you use it, they'll show you that it's not working. When you swipe the credit card. So then they try to use the points for the app. And so I don't know if all the meters indicate.
Well, I guess my question is, when it gets to that point and they're asked to use the app, what if they don't have access to be able to use the app? What do they do?
We've come to several situations like that, and they've been resolved. But I don't think it's a major problem. I know they call either my office or the curbside management office to resolve those problems.
That's just sounds. If I'm parking downtown at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at a parking lot, I'm gonna call the police station to get the okay to park there because I can't get on the app. Is that what you're saying, Cap?
So some of the meters are working.
I'm talking about the ones that, say the ones that are not working.
Not working. I don't know which meters are not working. That's under the DPW.
Councilman, if I might, thank you for your comments. I think you've heard that we're a little concerned, and we're not blaming you. And we're going off topic a bit here. However, I'm gonna ask the council office to review this, to look into it immediately. I mean, if we have to turn these meters off so that no one is fined and there's free parking in those meters that are not functioning, that's what we need to do. You can't have a meter that doesn't have full service, and, you know, find somebody if they're parking there. So, is that, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just saying that today. I mean, I know we ran around and noticed that they had put some tape over the coin slot, so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really crazy.
So we need a complete accounting, and we need it quickly. I don't know how fast you can get that to us.
I just requested that from Leo.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's not let that go too far. And please, Mr. Lombardi, if it is 20 of them, shut those 20 down. I would say until, you know, we can figure out what we need to do next. Okay, enough time on that. Sorry. Do we have any more questions? Thank you so much. Do we have any more questions for the commissioner? Councilman Vargas?
Thank you, Chairman. The question was for Lieutenant. Oh, I know. Who's in charge of passport? The passport.
Passport app is a company that, it's a company itself, that, I believe we have a contract with, because everything goes to them on the payment side of the house.
But it's on the police car or on the DPW? DPW, okay. All right, we have to go after DPW. Thank you. Thank you.
And the council is going to be doing that. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, anything further on this contract? That's going to call you Councilman Lombardi. Mr. Lombardi.
I just wanted to make just a quick statement, because if you recall, the last contract with Conduit was rejected by this committee. And I believe we were on a month to month. If you recall, this committee asked me to get that issue resolved, because if you recall, there was a contract signed that again was rejected by this committee and council at $3.11 per ticket. I asked Conduit to recalculate those numbers back to $2, let's say $2.80, but might have been $2.73. Everybody seemed to refuse, and that is going back to 12/31/2017. I called the solicitor. I asked him to please get this resolved before tonight, because that would be an issue that hasn't been resolved. It should be resolved. I mean, we should be paying our bills. I'm holding some checks. We should be paying our bills, but we also should be paying the proper amount. So what the solicitor told me is that they have agreed to go back to 12/31/2017 and correct the per ticket amount to $2.80. So that's a 31-cent saving per ticket. Just say there's 200 tickets a year. It's a savings of about $279,000. If you recall, the auditor originally raised it, and I have reported to this committee that I have been holding checks in regards to Conduit for this specific reason. And I just want to explain, this is the specific reason why there's a separation of powers. And we need to stand up as the legislative branch and hold the administration accountable, we say it that way. This is a savings to the taxpayer of $279,000. And that's because the administrative branch and the legislative branch held it up until it got resolved. So,
Thank you very much for your hard work, and thank you, Commissioner,
May I
for working
respond?
on it. Yes, please.
Because there's some misunderstanding. Because I've been involved in the issue that the president just alluded to. So my discussions with Conduit and the water department, they have agreed to honor their proposed contract price. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I say it's $2.80, where they're charging $3.11 now, month to month. When the contract expired, May of 2022, 17. I don't want anyone to leave here thinking, because my understanding is I've been involved in the conversations with Conduit. They did not agree to go back to 17.
Is that true?
27.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Lombardi?
Well, I guess it determines on when the last contract was approved by the Board of Contract and Supply. And clearly you just rejected another contract that they came forward with. So I don't know how far. My understanding is the last contract where we started going month to month was 17. Now, if it's 18, it's 18. I can't imagine it's 22 because we've been on month to month for over a year. So I don't know how the contract would go that far. So I'm not, maybe there's a misunderstanding, but how long have we been raising this? It's been years.
So I just want to be clear, because I don't want to leave here on the record with the treasurer and this council believing that we have an agreement with Conduit going back to 17, because that's clearly not what it is. And we have a dispute, granted. He's going back to 2017. The contract which required us to go to an RFP that we began back in December of 21 and just finished the process of selecting because the contract was ending May 30th of 22. That's the dispute, not honoring the
Okay.
contract that we believe expired May of this year.
So we need clarification now. Mr. Lombardi, do we need to continue this matter? So are you comfortable with the presentation that has been provided?
I thought Conduit was going to be here and state that, but if the commissioner has a difference of opinion, then I would ask that it be continued.
I'm sorry, you would ask that it
It be continued, that we can
Council.
then get all that
Remember,
information.
do we have any thoughts, concerns that we'd like to express? Should we continue this matter as suggested by the treasurer to clarify this item, which has been a point of contention, particularly by this committee? Councilman Anthony,
My only,
you're struggling there.
yeah, my only question is, we're going on break, so if are we, not gonna see this before we leave, or will there be another meeting on this particular question? Or before August? Time that we can do that.
How does the timeline impact this contract? How does it impact us if we continue and we reschedule this meeting until the second?
We're month to month, and we disagree with this council about our ability to go month to month. So, we don't have a contract in your eyes, and the city is being provided a service. So if it goes for another 2 months, we're in the same position 2 months from now. In good faith, I would imagine they continue with providing the service, but if we're not paying our bill, there's gonna be a reconciliation of that, because they're not gonna continue the service if we're not paying the bill.
I think everybody knows my position on not paying my bills. If we are, if we have vendors that are doing work, providing service to the city, we have an obligation to make sure they get paid. Arguing over this matter, it's a $279,000 issue to me. That's what I'm hearing, at least calculated by our general treasurer. Solicitor Chevrolet, do you have any thoughts on this matter as
I mean,
we're accident?
consistent with the treasurer's comments before, maybe it's passed out, if this issue doesn't get clarified before it's docketed with the council, it could be referred back. So the matter keeps moving, and we can get clarity on how far back everyone agreed to go.
That sounds like a reasonable approach. Can I suggest? Yes,
Sure.
Councilman.
The other thing is, if we're only on month to month, after going on a month or two, what's the big deal?
It's the
I would agree with the treasurer.
it's the delay in payment for the vendor for services performed. I think I'm in the camp of, let's move this forward contingent upon resolving this item. So I'm gonna ask the treasurer, do you think that you could get this item resolved as well as the other items that were raised tonight resolved, or we don't move forward on after that, or get it to the council for approval. You think
So
that's reasonable?
it's out of my court. I will report back to you if it's not, if the information is not provided.
Okay, so I'm gonna recommend that the committee will support that we move forward with an approval contingent upon clarification of the matters discussed at the table to the satisfaction of the treasurer. Does that sound,
Before it hits the council.
before it comes to the full council for a vote? Committee members, are you okay with that? May I have that motion? Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilwoman Anthony, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Okay, thank you very much. All right, item 4, please. Madam Clerk, can I read that into the record?
Resolution authorizing approval of the following contract award by the Board of Contracts and Supply in accordance with section 21-26B1 of the Code of Ordinances.
Who do we have before us? Hello.
Good evening, Chair.
You've already been sworn in, but can you state your name for the record?
Yeah, David Duquesne, Deputy General Manager of Province Water.
Thank
Good evening, Madam Chair and honorable members of the committee. Before I begin my testimony, I just want to thank you all for putting these 2 agenda items on the agenda prior to going on break. They're critical items for us, and I appreciate your indulgence by putting them on the agenda to be heard. The first issue, agenda item is a vendor by the name of Advancion. This vendor does all the programming for our SCADA system, which is the supervisory control and data acquisition system for Providence Water. Just to put it in terms that are easily understandable, even for me to understand, it controls all our pump stations, chlorine feed, pressure reducing valves, anything to do with security of our system and monitorization of the monitoring the pressures and so forth. This program, this vendor, oversees all of that. Now, this would be a 5-year contract, 3 years with 2 one-year renewals, not to exceed $1.5 million. On the average, it's about $300,000 per year. And your support, we'd like to move forward.
Okay, and this came before us because we didn't know, correct?
And Madam Chair, that's a great point. I neglected to mention that. This item is budgeted for and it's being funded out of our IFR.
Thank you very much. Committee members, questions, concerns? Mr. Treasurer, have you reviewed this? Do you have any thoughts?
I have no concerns about this.
Questions or-
It's before you because of the amount.
Okay. Councilman Nanducci, I think I heard you. You want to make a motion?
Motion passed.
Motion made by Councilman Nanducci, seconded by Councilman Majority Leader Taylor and Vice Chair Castillo. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. This matter passes. Thank you kindly. All right. Excellent. Madam Clerk, please read item 5 into the record.
Resolution authorizing approval of the following contract award by the Board of Contracts and Supply in accordance with section 21-26B1 of the Code of Ordinances.
Madam Chair, if you indulge me for a moment, this is a very exciting project for Providence Water. It's been 2 years in the making. It's a new billing system for Providence Water, and it's really going to catapult us into the 21st century. And I do have a brief statement I'd like to read. It's very informative. Just indulge me for a moment. Over the course of the past 2 years, Providence Water has evaluated 10 prospective vendors to which would be best fit for our new customer billing system. Providence Water advertised the utility billing system at the Board of Contracts and Supply meeting held on August 2nd, 2021. The bid were revealed at the Board of Contracts and Supply meeting held on September 13th, 2021. All 10 proposals delivered to the city were reviewed to determine whether they were responsive or non-responsive to the requisites of the RFP. Upon review, it was determined that all submissions met specifications of the RFP. The proposals were then evaluated on qualification, proposed applications, functionalities, price, implementation,
and conversion methodologies, training, and support. Providence Water reviewed each firm on the key staff, comparable projects, and client preferences. As a result, 5 vendors were brought in for interview and a scoring matrix on respective proposals. The proposal was scored and submitted, requirements and evaluation criteria outlined in the RFP. As a result of the scoring methodology, Strike Point scored the highest with a score of 92 out of a possible 100 points. The cost of the 3 finalists were very similar compared to the low and high outliers, but Strike Point had the most value per dollar for Providence Water. In addition, the new billing system was required to perform over 1,000 functions. Strike Point virtually met each and every one of those functions. And for those aforementioned reasons, we support Strike Point.
Very good. Committee members.
The question, what is wrong with our current billing system?
It's 25 years old. It's very manual, and it does as many adaptations as we've had. It doesn't speak to. We have to speak to the cybersecurity, information technology, engineering, water supply, all these different departments, and it's like a Model A. It's like a Model A car compared to the 2022 Chevrolet. That's the best I can.
We have to be very careful with payment systems and cybersecurity, so upgrading is just extremely appropriate. Councilman Anducci, do you have some thoughts?
No.
No?
And I'm sorry for the long-winded, but I just
No,
wanted to
it's
give you
okay.
all the information. Like I said, this has been a 2-year process. We've vetted, we've gone through, met with all the vendors, whittled it down, and we believe that we've got the best value for our dollar and for our rate.
That's what you've
Again,
done.
again, this is a funded, budgeted item paid for by IFR.
Councilman Vargas, you have a question?
For how long is this contract?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a 5-year contract, but we expect to have this billing system for 25 years, if not longer. Right?
No.
Thank you.
I want to thank you very much for your presentation, your enthusiasm, and the due diligence you clearly performed relative to this. So good job, and it's just very clear. It's always good to see, because if anyone looks at this documentation, it's clear to see that the work is done. We always love to see that.
Thank you, Madam President. I really, Madam Chair, I
That's
can't take all the credit. I have a great team that works with me, and they make me look good.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
If I just may be, I really want to give a huge thank you to the employees of Providence Water. So they're always out there, they're always going above and beyond. It's a department that you never, thank God, we never hear in the press of bad news. Water board has been a tight ship. And I know firsthand the work that these guys do out in the field. Especially in the winter time when it's freezing below 0 and you gotta climb into holes and pipes and stuff. So I just want to commend the work that the men and women do with the Providence Water.
Thank you for your laudatory comments. We try to do the best that we can. So,
Wonderful. My pleasure. Anyone else? May I have a motion? Do I have a motion to approve item 5? Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Majority Leader Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I have it. Motion carries. Item 5 is passed. Thank you again.
thank you. Enjoy your break.
We will. We're looking forward to it. Well, some of us more than others. Item 6, Madam Clerk, could you kindly read into the record?
Resolution authorizing approval of the following contract extension by the Board of Contracts and Supply in accordance with section 21-26B2 of the Code of Ordinances.
Wonderful. Who do we have? Director Silverio. Thank you, gentlemen. Please tell us what we have before us.
So I'm looking for a support contract of the consulting firm. It's Jimmy Chu. He's a former employee of the city of Providence. And he's a loss support specialist. He's got a good number of years under his belt, both here in the city and outside practice as well, supporting loss environments. Contract originally went out to bid back in 2016. At that time, we selected 2 vendors. We had a primary support with Velocity Consulting Incorporated. Their bid was for $96,000 annually, and Jimmy Chu was the second bidder. We ended up awarding 2 contracts. His contract at the time was $36,000. And we utilized both contracts for about a year and a half. Following that time, we dropped the first contract with Velocity, and we extended the contract with Jimmy Chu to support services. So since then, we've had his contracts extended on maintenance support on an annual basis. So we're looking to extend for 1 more year. This year, we're able to negotiate this cost down from $36,000 a year down to $30,000 a year.
So, Lawson,
Yes.
tell me about that system. What do we use it for?
So Lawson is it's the primary business application to run city operations. So for city administration, for the school department, and for Providence Water, we manage our purchasing through there. We manage our payroll. We manage budgeting and planning through there. We run all our paychecks, our vendor checks, accounts payable, goes through there as well. We have an inventory system that's attached to Lawson, and
So kind of like a core system operating system.
it's our core internal business application.
So why aren't, I think this has been raised, this is like the $30,000 question. Why are we not training someone internally to manage this core system? Is it that complicated that we need a consultant? Why are we paying a former employee like contracts year after year after year?
So that's a good question. We actually have 5 people on staff who help support that system as pretty much their primary job. What we're looking for the outside help is assistance in the upgrade. So previously, we had gone out bid for version upgrades. So these are major projects from one version of the info Lawson system to the next version. Okay? It's completely replacing software with a new version.
Is it a completely customized system at this point, would you say?
There are, I would say it's about 75% out of the box, 25% customized. We have our custom retirement system, custom retirement loan system, which city staff will program. We've got a great deal of customized reporting throughout the city. We try to do as much as we can on the base software without making changes, but some of our operations are a little unique here. So we have people on staff who maintain the programming, who maintain the reporting systems, and maintain a lot of customizations. What we're looking for with consulting services are with larger projects of upgrading to brand new versions. And we also use Jimmy for emergency support. So for example, we actually have a contract with Lawson for support. So when an issue comes up, this happens somewhat regularly. We'll be running payroll and something will change, something won't work properly, or we're upgrading the schedule, we're upgrading positions, and something doesn't turn us as we would expect. We're able to open ticket with Lawson. We get their people on board. They can get into our system and share with them and help us try to dig down to what happened. And that in turn comes back to us in terms of training, which we provide both to IT staff and city.
So Lawson is supporting the system.
They are.
So the only piece, what about upgrades? Do they support upgrades?
Let me just add, in many cases, we also contact you too, to explain to you what we have. And most often, we'll get answers from Jimmy quicker than we will from us. And when we're dealing with things like payroll, with very short turnarounds, where the payroll department will run their files, get them over to us, we need to have the IT process run and files off to the bank, Thursday morning deadline. We don't have a lot of wiggle room, so we call Lawson, we call Jimmy currently, and we try to get these issues resolved.
Do we need a new system?
I wouldn't say we need a new system. In fact, we are working on upgrading to the latest version. We have an upgrades plan for around October of this year. And we are maintaining with the current technology and standards. It works very, very well across the three groups, city, school, and province water. We've invested a great deal in training
Do we
staff.
split the cost between all these users?
That would be more of a question for finance, but my understanding is there is some cost consideration with the school department.
I see Councilman Sam has a
Quick
question.
question, why don't we use ADP, the local company? Payroll.
So that would be a larger question for payroll controller, the city as a whole. We have been running our own payroll, using our own payroll for years that I've been there for 11 years.
It's like we were relying on Lawson, something goes down, right? Just out of California, right?
Well, they do have 24/7 service. We are able to fix them 24/7 if there is an issue. But we've been able to run payroll reliably for most years. We've never missed payroll, we've never missed cost.
What is the cost of the Lawson system on an annual basis? Do you know?
Our current licensing for all of the modules, all of the users, for all the agencies is approximately $375,000 a year.
375,000
Yes.
plus 30,000 for this consultant.
Correct.
That's one.
And just for,
Councilman Vargas, did you have a question, sir?
Yes, I do. I don't see the reason why we need this new system when we have safety. It's look like, doesn't look right, like getting this contract with this particular company when this question gets come out of the city. So how many years have he has out of the city? Like not being employed from the city?
since late 2016. We left,
7.
yes.
And he has a contract with city lately or?
Well, I'm requesting an extension.
I don't see the need.
Okay, Councilwoman Anthony.
I would just like to make sure that this amount is in our budget.
So the amount was requested in my FY23 budget.
Okay.
And approved in the consulting.
Treasurer Lombardi, do you have any thoughts, comments on this item?
No, I know that I spoke to Jim about it a few months back. And he just mentioned that it was actually a cost saving for Paul versus bringing someone in. But I think it's a valid argument to say, okay, while he's in here, is he training? You know, can we bring somebody on board that could do that?
So that's exactly where I'm at with this. We've been contracting with this gentleman since 2016. It seems like we need to be building capacity internally. If Lawson can't support us, support our needs, they're getting $375 for their contract annually, and we seem to need additional power. So we need, the only way I would feel comfortable in approving this, it includes a component for bringing someone that is paid by the city, that the 5 other people that manage Lawson, they need to be trained, they need to be brought up to speed. Is that something that you could add to this to make it more palatable to the council to pass?
I understand. I just want to try to clarify, these are somewhat different roles.
They're somewhat different, I didn't know.
Roles. So the staff that I have, who are working on Lawson support right now, each one of them focus on different areas of support. So we have a reporting specialist, we have 2 programming specialists, we have system administrator who handles all the security, new accounts, changes, and there's regular updates, monthly updates that. What we have done traditionally in the past 11 years, and going back even further, is for version upgrades. This is a major programming task, migrate to a new version. So for version upgrades, we have gone out to bid to implement new versions. So I can tell you back in 2018, we went out to bid to upgrade our Lawson or payroll modules, just payroll. That was a $200,000 contract that we awarded to upgrade our payroll system, just the payroll modules. In 2014, we implemented a new time entry system. This was a Lawson feature, a function that we hadn't used before. We paid a different consultant $150,000 for.
Does Lawson contract not have support services associated with it?
So,
And if it doesn't, why not?
so understand the support services that we pay for. First of all, it includes annual licenses and the software updates that we release. Secondly, it does include support. So I have a support contract with them. We have a number, you can call them if we need to. And we do get excellent support from them. We also have what they call campus. So we have access to their Infor campus, not just for IT staff, but for all of the department's users. So that is their online classrooms, and you can go in there, work in AP, for example, you can go to the AP module and get training on exactly how to receive, how to enter payments, and how to use all of Lawson functionality. That's all built in, that's part of it.
That's part of using the system, training on using the system. I'm talking
Yes.
about what you're using Mr. Chu for.
Okay, so
That's the training
this
I'm
is-
asking.
this is part of what we're paying for already. The additional work that we're asking Mr. Chu to do is what we used to go out to bid for, where I mentioned the $200,000 upgrade in 2011, $150,000 upgrade in 2014. And back in, most recently in 2018, we had the last version upgrade that we did. That was another consulting contract that we let out, up in the school department, that one was over $600,000. So I no longer need to advertise for those large, several $100,000 contracts, because that work is being done under Jimmy Chu's support.
That's what Anthony.
Okay, so upgrades is what he's doing. He's basically constantly working on upgrades, is what you're saying, because it seems to me that we have everything else covered.
Well, that's part of what he's doing. So the upgrade coming this fall, that is software that Lawson released in the past year. We had previews of it, we knew that this was coming, and we've been preparing for almost a year now, largely to this new version to upgrade our software, just to keep pace with the latest support Lawson.
Okay, so then he's saving us from hiring the consultants for hundreds of thousands of dollars for the actual upgrades. He's working on, I see him as working us toward upgrading a little easier without the need for consultants. Is that for large sums of money? Trying to figure this
To
out.
put it point
Mr.
simply,
Mancini would like to enter some thoughts. You want to come up to the table, Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Please.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, if I may join Chief Information Officer Silveria in his testimony. The former employee that we're discussing, he was the seminal employee employee who installed the lawsuit when it was first acquired by the city. He is the foremost noted expert in lawsuit that we are aware of. His work has saved the city immense sums of money. Not just save money, when it's critical pass, and you can't get info, the lawsuit on the phone, that's sound. This is redundancy. This is where a call to this former employee immediately provides a immediate response with high-level technological results that we have become reliant on. And while we know that we probably could have training staff that Mr. Severi speaks of, are highly competent, they do not possess that level of expertise that is required by this consultant, notwithstanding the fact that he's a former employee. The fact that he's a former employee, he has the knowledge from its inception on every aspect of lawsuit. Personally, I know that personal knowledge of having been here, a bit longer than Mr. Severi, but I can speak to that. So if that means anything to this committee, I can't tell you how reliant we are at the moment when we need it. It's not should we do it, it's we would be glad that we had it when we need it. And I can only tell you that in the world of IT, or Mr. Severi will often tell you, we can't reveal what we know many times because of what was out of the cyber. Much of that has to be held confidential, as it should be. Otherwise, you're giving the blueprint to perpetrators. So in many cases, this is a perfect situation where if there's something that's on the edge of concern, one call to that particular consultant provides immediate access to immediate services.
Chief Van City, you relate my fears and concerns. I think you've answered the very questions that we raised very well. I have no further issue with this matter. Councilman Anthony,
Motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve, seconded by Vice Chair Castillo. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen, for your testimony. That was very helpful. Okay, seeing as no further business before this honorable body, may I have a motion to adjourn by Vice Chair Castillo makes that motion and seconded by Councilman Anthony and keep the table.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.